30 years ago today, on July 18th, 1995, New York Yankees starting pitcher Jack McDowell had the worst start of his career. He was harshly booed by the Yankee Stadium crowd as he departed, which led to one of the most obscure gestures on a baseball field. But first, we need to start from the beginning. It wasn't just what McDowell did, it's how he got to this situation and the aftermath of it all. Jack McDowell was a starting pitcher who played in Major League Baseball for 12 seasons from 1987 to 1999. He played for 4 teams, but spent the most time with the Chicago White Sox. A career record of 127 and 87, McDowell threw nearly 1,900 innings across 275 starts. He holds a lifetime 3.85 ERA, 111 adjusted ERA, a 1.302 WHIP, struck out 6.2 batters per 9 innings, and earned 27.8 WAR. He's a 3-time All-Star, received Cy Young votes 3 times as well, which includes winning the American League Cy Young Award in 1993. He spent the first 7 seasons of his career with the White Sox through the 1994 season, but he and Chicago had other plans afterwards. Without getting into too much detail, entering the 1994 season, the White Sox offered their ace a contract much lower than what he wanted, prompting bad blood between the two sides. The club was shopping McDowell after the regular season, which caught the Yankees' attention. New York had the best record in the American League when the strike ended the 1994 season, and were in need of starting pitching. As you can imagine, it didn't take long for both sides to work out a deal, and so, in December 1994, the White Sox trade Jack McDowell to the New York Yankees. The Yankees were excited about this acquisition, as New York general manager G. Michael called McDowell a great competitor and a proven winner. Before getting to his Yankees tenure, I'd like to take some time to explain the fact that McDowell had, how should I say, a loud personality to say the least. In addition to playing baseball, he also played guitar in a rock band, regularly playing during and after the season. On one occasion, he wanted to play at a concert on the same day as a game he had to start. One newspaper writer described him as unconventional, non-traditional, and abstract. That, among his baseball peers, he fits in like a hot coal in a cooler of beer. Said the man himself, "I talk about what's on my mind. Other people might think the same things I'm thinking, but they just aren't saying the same things. That's how I got my reputation for being mad at the world." I mention all of that to show you what kind of person he was, and how he could come across others in baseball. Now, entering the 1995 season, he found himself on the clean-cut, polished Yankees. The two mixed together as well as water and oil. His lone season as a Yankee was by no means bad, and if anything, still consistent with his career numbers. A 15-10 record, he had a 3.93 ERA and 118 adjusted ERA across 30 starts and over 215 innings pitched. The overall numbers weren't bad, but on a game-to-game basis, McDowell could be streaky. In his first 13 starts through June 1995, he had an ERA near 5 with a number of bad performances. 5 times in those 13 games did he allow at least 5 earned runs, frustrating those around him. Reminder, McDowell was acquired to be one of New York's top pitchers, not an average starter. He was the guy you'd pitch in a must-win game. It also doesn't help that the Yankees were playing terribly, being under 500 entering July. Now we arrive at the July 18th game in question. The second game of a doubleheader, the Yankees were hosting who else but the Chicago White Sox. New York lost the first game of the doubleheader, dropping their record to 33-39, 7 games out of first place, and 7.5 out of the wild card. McDowell took the mound for the second game, where, entering that contest, he was 7-5 with a 4.35 ERA in 16 starts. Again, not bad, but a far cry from ace material. What preceded was perhaps the worst start of his career. In 4 2/3 innings pitched, He allowed 9 earned runs on 13 hits and 2 walks. He struck out 4 batters, but also coughed up 3 home runs. Overall, this performance ballooned his ERA to 4.87. This start in particular earned a game score of 4. Including the playoffs, McDowell started over 275 games during his time in baseball. This game score is the second lowest of any start. It also ties a personal record for most earned runs allowed in a game, so for simplicity's sake, it's practically the worst game he's ever pitched. So, here we have an unconventional pitcher, someone who was supposed to be the ace of a playoff team, performing terribly. He just pitched the worst game of his career on a team that was about to be 7 games under 500. Many high expectations for him and the Yankees for 1995, only for them both to be huge disappointments so far. All of that buildup led to one of Yankee Stadium's most infamous moments. With the boos flying down as Jack McDowell walked off the field, he flipped off the crowd. Here I thought Mark Fidrich was nicknamed the Bird, but I was mistaken. Unsurprisingly, the Yankees front office did not exactly take this gesture too kindly. The team fined him $5,000, and reportedly, American League President Gene Budick ordered him to buy New York fans a substantial amount of tickets to Yankees home games. I didn't even know that could be a punishment, but I digress. Gene Michael kept his response short, saying McDowell made a mistake and what he did was wrong. Manager Buck Showalter more or less kept it brief as well, saying, "I spoke with Jack at length about this, and he knows nobody here condones what he did. It's obvious he was wrong. Jack understands that. He knows he disappointed a lot of people." I also need to point out the words from sports writer Steve Harris. He said McDowell didn't just flip off the crowd, but polluted a lot of young minds, claimed this act was poison, and since he's a role model, he needs to tell kids how wrong this whole thing was. Yeah, that article really goes into detail about how Jack McDowell flipping off the crowd has an extremely negative effect on children. Maybe it's just me, but saying this incident took a toll on one's dignity, personal class, and general respect for the game is so ridiculous it's comical. Anyway, lunatic sports writers aside, what did the pitcher himself have to say about this?
I did something that obviously was stupid. Anytime you have to talk about something after a game that's non-baseball related, you're not doing the things right, and it's regrettable.
He would also go on the record and say, "It was an outburst that you can't let happen. Getting knocked around as much as I have this year, you can't expect too many pats on the back. They have every right to boo. I hope they would take it as frustration over a poor performance. I'm somebody who cares. I don't think anyone would argue if I said this was the lowest point of the Yankees season. 3 months of disappointment and frustration from the team all boiled over when their struggling ace gave up 9 runs to the White Sox and reminding the Yankee Stadium crowd that they're number 1. This eventual loss pushed the Yankees to a season low, 7 games under 500, with their playoff hopes all but out of reach. However, if this story couldn't get any crazier, Jack McDowell flipping off the crowd was somehow the catalyst for one of New York's biggest single-season turnarounds of all time. Following this whole debacle, the Yankees finished the season 46-25, going from 33-40 to 79-65. That record clinched them the wild card, finishing just 1 win ahead of the California Angels. One of the reasons for their late-season success? Jack McDowell. McDowell was 7-6 and had a 4.87 ERA in 18 starts through that July 18th performance. In 13 starts after that, 8-4 with a 2.81 ERA. Hey, maybe players should give the home crowd the finger more often. The magic ran out in the playoffs though, as New York blew a 2-0 lead in the American League Division Series to lose in 5 games to the Seattle Mariners. What happened to both sides following the season? As for the Yankees themselves, well, you know how it went. 4 World Series wins in the next 5 years. As for Jack McDowell, 1995 would be the last great season of his career. He battled injuries over the next 4 years, where, in 56 games from 1996 through 1999, he had an ERA over 5. 1999 would be the final year of his career, but he'll always be remembered for 2 things: being one of the best pitchers of the early 90s and flipping off the Yankee Stadium crowd.